Hi, my name is John, and this is my good buddy Andy, and you're listening to the Packers Blitz podcast, the podcast done by two diehard Packer fans who have survived the dark times of the 1980s Packers football and lived to talk about it. And Packers Blitz is always dedicated to the greatest fans in professional sports, Packer fans. Hey, Andy, how are you?
Hey,
How was
John.
your New Year's?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, my wife and I, spent some time together, actually bonded over Star Trek, actually, but
Nice.
that's beside the point. But at least we were together and
Yeah,
celebrating the new year
nice.
together. So we
That's
watched a few
awesome.
of the shows on the boob tube on the TV, and they had some of the countdown shows. They had some bands
Sure.
playing like Green
Mhm.
Day and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I saw a little bit of that, but for
You're
the
right.
most part, no big celebration or anything. Not too much. Not any alcohol or anything, which is kind of sad, but
Okay.
true. So,
Right.
how about you?
Yeah, pretty much same old, except let's talk about the game. People don't want to hear about us. Let's talk about the game.
Well, but
Andy, take it away.
wait, John. Breaking
What?
news. Ken Bowman, who played
Uh-oh.
center for the Green Bay Packers from
Yeah.
1964 to 1973
Okay.
and was part of 3 consecutive championship teams, has died. He was 81. So rest in peace,
Rest
Ken
in peace.
Bowman. So I figured that just popped up on my phone a few minutes ago and keeps
Okay.
popping up from different sources.
Okay.
So yeah, feel bad about that. So
Yeah.
sorry to
Rest in
start
peace,
on a
Ken.
down note, but
Yeah. Okay.
any thoughts on Ken? I know you're
No,
a
I
little
don't
bit
know
more of
anything
a
about
history buff.
Ken. I don't know anything about Ken, to be honest with you, but rest in peace, Ken.
Rest in peace. And
Yeah.
moving on.
Moving on.
John, Packers fans, Packers Blitz fans, it's gonna be tough to do this podcast tonight. Yes, the Packers defeated the Vikings on New Year's Eve night. Yes, we kicked their butts.
Good.
However, I cannot get a certain image of Kirk Cousins out of my head. Right before kickoff, I was scarred for life. Here's what here's what happened according to Vikings insider Will Ragetz of SI.com. And this is from Will. Cousins was announced as the Gallahorn Sounder. The Gallahorn, by the way, that big horn that is blown before Vikings games by yeah, that. Then, when the camera cut to him and his son Cooper,
Mm.
Cousins ripped off his shirt to reveal a big gold chain, a
Boy.
callback to last season's Kirko Chains alter ego. The
Okay.
crowd went absolutely wild. End quote.
Uh-huh.
Well, not everyone watching went wild seeing a shirtless Kirk Cousins. It still
No.
haunts me to this day. It will continue to haunt me. I'm just glad that the sound of the Gallahorn, all of the skull chants, and even a shirtless NFL quarterback and his son couldn't fire up the Vikings team. Just like John and I have stated many times on Packers Blitz, the Vikings are truly the Vikqueens. John, any
Yeah.
comment on that?
No, what's what I say about this? I have a little baby cry. That game to me was, first of all, it was very strange. When I walked in, I told Andy offline here. When I walked in, all I saw was Kirk Cousins and his son without their shirts off. And I went, what is going on? I thought I was on a wrong channel. I'm like, what? Wait, what? So that started out weird. And then it got even weirder when I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going to turn, Hall into, the next Joe Montana. This is going to be awful. I can't bear to watch this. And like nothing happened. Hall looked like oh my God, a rookie quarterback who has started twice. He looked horrible. And
Yeah,
I was
a
just
deer in
shocked.
headlights. Yeah,
Yeah,
like a
he
deer
didn't
in
know what,
headlights.
and I'm going, okay, all right. This is usually the way it starts. This is usually the way it goes, and then the wheels fall off. But they never did. I mean, this never did. And I don't know who was coaching the defense. It wasn't Joe Barry. Maybe maybe they had AI or they had some artificial intelligence. I mean, or something. But I've never seen anything, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 games in Joe Barry's career, where he just dominated. Our defense just dominated the opponent, and it wasn't even close. And this game wasn't even close. Andy was texting me during the game, and he said, "Oh, no lead is safe." We're up like 20 points in the third, but no lead is safe.
Not with Joe Barry, right.
You're right, that was Joe Barry. And then with except a Toure, and I feel sorry for this kid. I don't know what happened to him. We'll maybe bringing that up another Packers Blitz episode, but oh, that poor kid. Because he was the only guy that goofed up really bad and gave them points. And I was surprised they even got those points. So, yeah, I just thought it was an interesting game. And whew, it was really nice to sit back and watch and not worry. By the way, I'm going to do a quick follow up, Andy. So the Panthers, Carolina Panthers, played the Jacksonville Jaguars. Guess how Bryce Young played? And
Horribly, because they didn't score any
horribly,
points.
yes. And on top of it, old man Thielen had like 3 catches for like, I don't know, 30 some yards. And yes, they did not score any points. So explain to me how we can play so crappy and then just have this just crazy good game and just play our opponent who knows us really, really well, even though they were bringing in quarterbacks like people changing, their socks. Um, I don't get it. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. Anyway, that's my little 2 cents, I guess, on that one. I just don't get it. So,
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
else
so
with that?
nope, nope, we'll talk a little bit about it a little bit later. Right now, we're gonna get in some, very interesting
Very interesting.
facts and questions. John, you're gonna take this section,
I'm
if
gonna
you wanna
take it.
explain to the audience that we have out there, what exactly very interesting is about, and, take it away.
Yeah, great. So normally Andy does this, but Andy let me have this. Thank you. So very interesting is kind of some interesting questions that we kind of pose and kind of look at, here at Packers Blitz. And tonight I would delve into some very interesting questions that relate to both the Packers and NFL. And because Andy and I both want to keep this under an hour, we will put the Ask Andy segment on hold or pause until next week. By the way, before I forget,
Yeah, I
Andy's
won't be here
birthday's
next.
coming up, and so we're gonna go happy birthday to you. He's coming up, and he's gonna be in Hawaii. Look at
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah,
So anyway,
nothing
so
but
now
palm
let's
trees
get
and
into
sun, we hope.
so there we go. Yay! All right. So here's the thing I've been wondering, and other people have been wondering out there. Why isn't Jordan Love in the MVP race? Because let's just take a thought here on that because it's very interesting. Why isn't Jordan Love considered MVP or even in the MVP race? He's not even in there. Forget it.
Right.
They went up on ESPN. They flashed the people who are up there, which I will get to in a second, and he's not even in the conversation. So let's just go into some quick things here. Jordan Love is 10th in passing yards, 3rd in passing touchdowns,
Mhm.
and has thrown fewer, interceptions than Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Tua Taga, whatever his name.
Tagovailoa
Thank you. I always call him Tua, so I
from
never get credit.
Hawaii.
Thank you.
Yep.
Over the Packers' last 7 games, where the Packers have gone 5-2, again, Jordan Love has 16 TD passes and 1 interception. That's a 16-to-1 ratio. We are talking upper echelon quarterbacks: Patrick Mahomes, Tua, Josh Allen, on and on, right? So let's compare some of the front runners for MVP with Jordan Love. Okay, so we'll start with Jordan Love. Jordan Love, as of right now, thank you, Andy, for updating, has 3,843 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, a 93.8 quarterback rating, 4 rushing touchdowns. Brock Purdy, who is definitely in this conversation, has 4,280 yards, 31 TDs, 11 interceptions, a 113 quarterback rating, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Jalen Hurts, who is definitely in the conversation, has 3,803 yards, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He's really starting to go out of this race. A 91 even quarterback rating, but 15 rushing touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, who is the front runner right now, according to Vegas, he has 3,678 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, a 102.7 quarterback rating, 5 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah,
Mahomes,
before you move on, John, with Lamar Jackson, he's got, I believe, over 800 yards rushing. I'll have to look up the exact amount.
Sure.
But that's, of course, his game along with Jalen Hurts. So, there's a reason he's at 3,678 yards passing, because he has so many rushing yards.
So many rushing.
All right. Okay.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. No, thank you. Mahomes, or Patrick Mahomes, again, this is a down year for him. 4,183 yards, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and 92.6 quarterback rate. And he's having a down year, and you can't even argue that. Josh Allen, 3,947 yards, is having it, in my opinion, a down year. 27 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 91.5 quarterback rating, 15 rushing touchdowns. Tua, I'm just going to say Tua, has 4,451 yards, 28 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a 103.0 quarterback rating. And last but certainly not least, Cowboy fans, yes, Dak Prescott, 4,237 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 104.2 quarterback rating, and 2 rushing touchdowns. Now, remember what I said before? I'm going to go back here, okay? Jordan Love, I'm just going to repeat this really quickly. 3,843 yards, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, at 93.8 quarterback rating, and 4 rushing TDs. And by the way, folks, we've been ad nauseum. We know this, Packer Blitz fans and Packer fans. He's playing with kids. He does not have Devontae Adams. He does not have Mercedes Lewis. He does not have who else you want to throw out there, Andy? Anybody else you want? Veteran receiver? The guy at the Jets right now. Oh, Alan Lazard. You see what I'm saying? He is no number one, no true number one, even though Jaden Reed is kind of inching up, but he can't stay in there. Christian Watson is eating a hoagie on the freaking bench, and Devontae Wicks just got hurt. And we have a king of the practice squad player, Bo Melton, as his number one target Sunday night. Like, come on. I mean, all these other guys, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tua, Dak Prescott, have premier receivers.
Yeah, he doesn't have a Tyreek Hill. He doesn't have a CeeDee Lamb. He doesn't have an A.J. Brown. You want me to list them off? Nope. These are the top ones. He doesn't have a Brandon Ayuk.
Doesn't
He
have a Travis
doesn't
Kelce.
have what's another one?
Deebo Samuel.
Yep, Deebo Samuel. I was trying to
Uh,
pick ones that the quarterbacks had. So,
right.
yeah. So, I mean, he doesn't have any
Right.
of those
Doesn't
premier
have
wide
anybody.
receivers. He doesn't.
Doesn't a
There
he does,
isn't
and his numbers
anybody
match
in the
up.
top 20
Yeah.
receivers
No,
that I can even see that's a Packers
no,
receiver. Now, Jaden
no.
Reed's been great, but he
Yeah,
hasn't been Tyreek
yeah.
Hill great,
No,
or he
no.
hasn't been. He's like a
CeeDee Lamb.
a Deebo Samuel light, and he's not even Deebo Samuel this year
Yeah.
again.
And George Kittle. We forgot George Kittle. So Brock Purdy has George Kittle, Deebo
Yep.
Samuel, and Ayuk.
Travis Kelce for KC, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so they got some really,
It's
really good
down
players on
down
that
the
team
line.
still.
OBJ, Lamar Jackson has OBJ, and he has well, Mark Andrews is not playing that much, but when he comes back,
He's out. He's
but when he comes
yeah,
back, right.
he won't
So
next year. He
so
won't be back.
Andy, I'm not doing an ask Andy. I just want just a quick comment, just a really quick comment. Why is he in this conversation? Why isn't Jordan Love in the MVP conversation?
Yeah, I think it comes down to a lot of times with the MVP voting, it has to do with wins. And unfortunately, we only have 8 wins this year. And a lot of the other quarterbacks that you listed off are the ones that are winning
Yeah, I get
quarterbacks. So, and that's what it comes down to. All of them are. Every single one you listed off, John, has at least 10 wins, I believe.
yeah,
Just looking at the list, and a lot of them have more than that, and that's what it comes down to anymore. So you got
I know.
a player like Lamar Jackson with 821 rushing yards again, and he had 5 touchdown passes against supposedly a really good Miami team last week. So on the big stage against a really good opponent, he had a great game. Again, players like Dak Prescott, who played the Bills a few weeks ago and had a clunker, just
Mhm.
a played awful during that game. It's those big games like that. He was considered the front runner, and now Lamar Jackson is, right. And then Brock
Mhm.
Purdy, he had a clunker of a game too. He had 5, I think,
Yeah, you talk
4 interceptions or something.
yeah,
Uh, it might even been more than that. He should have had more than that
he should
a
have had
few
more.
weeks ago.
Yeah,
So
he should have had more.
again, because on the big stage, you had again a total clunker of a
Mhm.
game. That sways voters, especially at the end of the year. So right now, yes, Lamar is the front runner, and justifiably so. He's had a excellent
He's a good
season,
year.
an awesome season. So.
Yeah.
Um, you don't want to forget, though, people out there, that you've still got Christian McCaffrey and you got Tyreek Hill in
Mhm.
the mix. Of course, they are not
Mhm.
quarterbers. We're only
Yeah,
talking about the
so
quarterbacks, but there
yeah,
is a consensus. There are some people out there, factions out there, whatever. I'm not trying to go all conspiracy people on, conspiracy theory on everybody, but I'm just saying that those players are in consideration for the
yeah,
MVP award. Typically, you just don't get them though. You
yeah.
don't
So
get those position players, those
right.
the running backs of the world and the defensive ends, and you aren't going to see those guys typically. If anybody would have got it, would have been TJ Watt a few years ago, because that
Yeah.
guy actually influenced
Sheesh.
outcomes of games. He
Yeah.
probably won 4 or 5 of those games by himself for the
Mm,
Pittsburgh Steelers. So, and
yeah.
that of course did not happen. He won Defensive Player of the Year, but not the MVP. So
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, John?
Yes, it does. Yes, it
Okay.
does.
So
So,
yeah.
Andy, you can take on the next one about some news about 2 former Packers.
Yeah, so 2 former Packers, pass rusher Julius Peppers and guard Jari Evans are among the 15 modern era finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Peppers was signed as a free agent in 2014 and started 43 games for the Green and Gold, recording 25 sacks from 2014 to 2016. Evans, on the other hand, only spent 1 year in Green Bay in 2017. Don't have too much to say about his career with the Packers, but he is one of the finalists. The 2024 class also includes 3 prolific wide receivers, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, and Reggie Wayne, all catching more than 900 passes and ranking in the top 20 in career yards receiving. So, very interesting. Why isn't another prolific wide receiver like former Packer Sterling
Yeah.
Sharp in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? That's a big
Yeah.
question mark. We talked a little bit about this on a previous podcast, but according to Bill Huber of SI.com, this is what he has to say. Sharp's initial Hall of Fame window has closed. I'm going to add this, unfortunately, with his 20 years of eligibility as a modern era candidate having expired. Sharp's candidacy now falls to the coach/seniors committee, where he's probably an extreme long shot.
Yeah.
End quote. However, it is possible former Packers greats like defensive end Dave Robinson and guard Jerry Kramer, who followed the same path as Sterling, ended up enshrined in Canton. Like Robinson and Kramer, Sterling has been picked for the Hall of Very Good, which seeks to honor players who are not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and was created by the Pro Football Researchers Association in 2002. Hopefully, for Sterling Sharp, the Hall of Very Good leads to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I never knew about the Hall of Very Good, John.
I didn't
I
know
have
that
no idea
either.
what that was, so I
I
figured
don't know
I'd
what that is
throw that in
either.
there. People, it's very interesting, though. If it's any
Yeah.
consolation, Sterling Sharp was inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame also in 2002. John and I will talk more about Sterling Sharp and how he stacks up to the wide receivers currently in the Hall of Fame during the offseason. John, it really bugs me. Any quick comment on that? Any quick comments on Sterling before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's totally ridiculous with everything, and just, I mean, they're idiots. I mean, there's just no way around it, and that's really all I have to say.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Just mind-boggling, John.
It is.
So
Doesn't
we'll
make
get
any
more
sense.
into it in the off
Doesn't make
season,
any
but
sense.
it's really, really sad. It really, really
It
is.
is.
If any of the 3 wide receivers that I mentioned get in and Sterling's not in, then I have a serious issue because I think he
Yeah.
was better than all 3 that
Oh,
I listed off.
absolutely.
So I'm just gonna that's all I'm gonna say on that. So
Yeah.
so we're gonna move on. The Packers ring in the new year with a victory over the Minnesota Vikings, 33-10 on Sunday Night Football. And so a tie-in to ringing in the new year is this. Communities used to bid adieu to the old year and welcome in the new one by ringing bells, often in churches. Decades before hordes of revelers started flocking to Times Square to watch the ball drop, which occurred first in 1907, by the way, they congregated farther downtown at Wall Street's Trinity Church in Manhattan. And some people call that actually Manhattan Trinity Church, but either way, there people literally rang in the new year with a concert done by the church's official bell ringer, James E. Ayliffe. That is spelled Ayliffe, James Ayliffe. Very interesting, eh, John? In addition,
Really interesting.
in addition to actual bell ringing, the phrase ringing, ring one's bell or ringing one's bell refers to striking or hitting someone with a violent blow to the head so that you might stun or concuss them. Aaron Jones tried to de-escalate a post-game shuffle and took a shot to the face. One could say that Vikings cornerback Andrew Booth Jr. tried to, in quotes, ring his bell. John and I want to ring Chris Collinsworth's bell every time we watch a Sunday night football game on NBC. John, ain't that right, John?
I want to take a chainsaw to him.
Yep.
Oh, he's the worst.
Wood chipper, like in Fargo, right?
Please.
Now we're getting really dark really quickly. He's awful. Chirico has caught something from him too, because he's not.
I know.
He's becoming not any better. Yeah.
And he said the stupidest thing.
There's so many things. This is the top one.
This is number one. You have to agree. This is number one.
Okay.
He said, Collinsworth said, and I quote, "Every time we have Jordan Love on, he does really well." I'm like, you had him on twice. What do you mean? Yeah. Every time, twice.
Boy, every time. Track record, man. We've had him so many.
Yeah, he's like taking credit.
Like two.
Yeah, Chris Collinsworth was taking credit. Like, hey, look at me. Every time I'm doing the game, he's doing Jordan Love. Shut up. Oh, God.
Yeah, so John, Packers Blitz fans out there, another meaning of ringing one's bell is to provide satisfaction or something that someone wants. What the heck does all this have to do with the Packers win over the Vikings? Well, Packers fans, on this particular New Year's Eve, the Packers football team rang that bell over and over and over again for us. John, Happy New Year, and a Happy New Year to all of our listeners out there with a big exclamation point. Yeah, we definitely rang the bell, didn't we, John?
Absolutely, we did.
Yep. So we're going to talk about some Packers bell ringers now.
All right.
Number one bell ringer that we had during that game had to be Jordan Love. Jordan Love again played fantastic. 24-33, 255 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, which is pretty awesome. He took on a defender.
Yeah.
Awesome job. 0 turnovers, all in caps. 0 turnovers. That's something we talked about on the last podcast, didn't we, John?
Yep.
Just like the Aaron Rodgers of old, Love was lights out against the Blitz, completing 18 of 25 passes for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Very interesting, huh, John? So he was great against the Blitz because, again, the Vikings are the number one blitzing team in the National Football League, and it's not even close.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Yep. The second bell ringer that I want to talk about, we'll talk more about Jordan later. We've already talked a lot about Jordan. He's awesome. Aaron Jones, 20 attempts, 120 yards again, 0 turnovers in caps, 0 turnovers. So again, he averaged exactly 6 yards a carry. I think against Carolina, he averaged over 6 a carry.
Yeah, he did too.
The second week in a row that Jones had over 100 yards. Up until then, we hadn't had anybody with over 100 yards rushing, had we, John?
Nope.
And then third, I want to say this is kind of a ranking, but the Packers' entire offensive line unit, I'm just going to give it credit to everybody. Sure. The offense had 470 total yards. There's a reason for that. Great offensive line play, I think, right? They had 177 yards on the ground. 177 yards. There were plenty of running lanes. John, you know it.
Yes.
Packer fans, you know it. You saw it. Like big holes.
Yeah.
To run
we could run through it.
Yeah. Right. Even us. Yeah. Slowly.
Old guy.
Yes. According to Paul Brettel of USA Today, the Vikings entered Week 17 with one of the more stingy run defenses in football, allowing only 3.7 yards per carry on the season, good for the 5th lowest average. In the passing game, Minnesota came into the game ranked 1st in blitz rate, sending pressure 49% of their defensive snaps. Against Green Bay, the Vikings turned up the heat to near maximum, blitzing Jordan Love on a whopping 76%.
What?
76% of his drawbacks. However, the Packers' O-line held up very well, with Love pressured just 33% of his dropbacks, including no sacks surrendered and only 2 quarterback hits given up. End quote. So that was a really long quote. But it was so good. I was like, all this information is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he was blitzing they were blitzing the crap.
Yeah, they're blitzing crap out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Left tackle Rasheed Walker, who we recognized last week on Packers Blitz, took 100% of the snaps for the second week in a row. He actually, last week, he started played every single snap.
Yeah.
John Runyon and Sean Ryan continue to split snaps and compete at right guard. Left guard Elton Jenkins was his all-pro self again.
Thank God.
Even center Josh Myers played well.
Josh Myers.
Unless
oh boy,
Vikings outside linebacker Danielle Hunter moved inside and Myers had to block him one-on-one. Didn't go too well. Didn't go too well. It goes without saying, but any success the Packers offense as a whole is going to have starts up front. When the line can run block effectively enough to move the ball on the ground, it creates opportunities in the pass game. When the line creates a clean pocket for the quarterback has time to complete passes.
Yay.
Thusly, Jordan Love and the Packers offense have benefited from great line play and become really effective. So great job, O-line. That was number 3. There's so many people, so many units to recognize. We're moving on though to wide receiver Cole Melton. So we talked about Aaron Jones, crossing the 100-yard mark twice, running wise. Well, wide receiver Bo Melton, king of the practice squad, as I like to call him, became the first Packers wide receiver, the first one this year, to eclipse 100 yards. He had 6 receptions, 105 yards, and a touchdown, which you would think would be Justin Jefferson's line, right? That wasn't the case, was it?
No.
Bo Melton's last catch was a 39-yard pass from Sean Clifford. Yes, backup quarterback Sean Clifford. Melton is now out of the practice squad, practice squad elevations, with the Minnesota game being his 3rd. So the Packers finally signed him to their game day roster. Congrats.
Yay.
Yep. So now he's on the roster, John. They paid him. To get paid. So that's awesome. Because activated, not activated, activated, not activated, right?
Wow, that's a tough life.
5th one, I got to keep going. Wide receiver, and he's called this by Matt LaFleur, War Daddy Jaden Reed had 6 receptions, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I'm glad I put him in my fantasy football final. But he didn't play in the second half because of a chest injury. More on that in a second. If not for that, he would have surely topped the century mark as well. LaFleur took advantage of the Vikings' heavy blitzing to repeatedly scheme Jaden Reed open over the middle and motion him in the backfield. And he was getting open that way when he was motioning. Reed potentially will not be available for Sunday's playoff or bust game against the Chicago Bears. According to SI.com's Packers insider Bill Huber, and this is what he says, Reed said that he was injured when he fielded a punt and was crushed after calling for a late fair catch with a minute 47 seconds, 1 minute 47 seconds remaining in the first half. End quote. Shortly after came one of the most amazing individual efforts I have seen in watching football for over 50 years. So I just have to
Ooh.
say it. I just have to say it.
Yeah.
J Love hit Reed over the middle for a 3-yard gain. He proceeded, Jaden Reed,
Yeah.
proceeded to run through a
Mm.
tackle attempt by star safety Harrison Smith. I know how much you love Harrison Smith. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's a
At the
great player.
22-yard line, he ran through that tackle attempt. Then he carried the other safety, don't care who it is, the final 8 yards to the end zone for the touchdown. And he carried that guy, John, right?
Yeah.
So that was Jaden Reed's second of the night. Yes, Packers fans, amazingly, he did all that while playing through considerable pain. This is kind of a side note, John. Maybe Jair Alexander could learn some things watching players like
Oh,
Jaden
boy.
playing through pain and discomfort.
Okay, here we go. Shots fired.
Yep. Very interesting milestone for Jaden Reed, all in caps. Very interesting. He entered the game with 54 catches, one behind the great Sterling Sharp for the franchise rookie record. Jaden broke that record of 55 catches that had stood since 1988 and now has 60. He now has 60 on the season. One of this year's rookie receiver of this year's rookie receiver class. Reed is 5th in receptions, 7th with 681 yards, and 2nd with 8 touchdowns. Isn't that awesome, John?
Yeah, it's awesome.
For the
That's
pack,
unbelievable.
for the pack, he is number 1 in receptions and yards, and tied with Romeo Dobbs for number 1 in touchdowns.
Wow.
Brian Gutekunst drafted Jaden to fill that slot receiver role. Well,
that was a home run.
He's tied with CeeDee Lamb, CeeDee frickin' Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys with 7 touchdowns out of the slot. That's tied for number 1 in the league. That is so awesome. That is so awesome, Jaden. Hopefully you're listening to this podcast and
buddy.
Where we're at. Kudos to you. That's awesome. To even be mentioned in the same sentence with CeeDee frickin' Lamb. That's pretty awesome. So Goody knocked it out of the park on that draft.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
So we're off to number 6 now. Oh my gosh, you can't even probably believe it's there. Packers bell ringers, number 6. Well, that would be Joe Barry's much maligned defense. His defense gave up only 211 total yards, created two turnovers, had 4 sacks, and 14 quarterback hits.
That's crazy.
His pass rush plan, including multiple blitz packages, confused the Vikings offensive line all night. It did. Can't dispute that. The Packers defense dominated a Vikings team that was flat, unprepared, and disappointing. You could have said that last week about Joe Barry and his defense's effort last week against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to mention something that John just did. By the way, Carolina lost 26-0 against the Jacksonville Jaguars without starting quarterback Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars D gave up 0 points and had 6 sacks. 6.
Oh my God.
The Packers D just a week ago gave up 30 points and had just 2 sacks. So that's all right. I had to turn this back on Joe Barry a little bit, but
it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So that's why I brought it up. So I'm glad you brought it up earlier. Lucky number 7. Corey Ballantyne. That cornerback, man, he's awesome. Stepped in at the last minute. He stepped in because its 2 top corners, Jair Alexander, was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team, and Eric Stokes was placed on IR. Ballantyne delivered an impressive performance against a group of formidable receivers. He was targeted heavily by the Vikings quarterbacks, throwing in his direction 9 times.
9 times.
Yes. However, according to Paul Brettel of USA Today, Ballantyne allowed only 3 receptions for 33 yards with 2 forced incompletions and an interception that led to 7 points for the Green Bay Packers offense. End quote. He didn't allow a reception to the great Justin Jefferson in 3 attempts. Corey Ballantyne has done a very good job being aggressive and challenging opposing wide receivers. And here's another quote from Paul Brettel, I believe. From weeks 10 through 14 and week 17, that's when he started, by the way, those 5 weeks. When Ballantyne was starting, his 6 forced incompletions during those games are tied for the 4th most out of 70 eligible cornerbacks.
Wow.
End quote. So thank you, Paul Brettel and Packers Wire, for that very interesting data. That means he's one of the top cornerbacks those weeks he was starting, John.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Packers should just stop the lollygagging around and make Corey Ballantyne one of our new starting quarterbacks. Maybe they should do that. Jair, I hope you're listening. I hope Eric Stokes is listening too.
Yeah.
The Packers' entire team effort. This is the last one. The Packers' entire team effort has all but eliminated the Vikings from playoff contention. NFL.com gives Minnesota a 3% chance to make the playoffs. The Packers rang in the new year by ringing the Vikings' bells. So, John, I don't know if you want to go through the Packers Blitz players of the game. I'm running out of steam.
We're going to do it really quick.
There's so many people, though, to recognize.
I will do that really quickly.
So this is who I've got, but you can add or subtract. I got a lot of people.
I already agree with everybody you got.
Okay, so go for it.
All right. Quick little tidbit. The secondary we played against Minnesota was the same secondary we played against Mahomes. And check the stats. It's crazy. Obviously, we won that game. So just go check the stats, Packer Blitz fans and Packer fans out there. And you probably are going, what the heck are they starting? Like, what are we doing? You know, we faced Mahomes with a great quarterback. And then we faced, well, in other words, they have faced 3 different quarterbacks this secondary and has destroyed them all. So it's crazy. I don't know why we don't start. Anyway, let's get into Packers Blitz players of the game. But here we go. Jordan Love, yes. Aaron Jones, yes. Bo Melton, yes. Jaden Reed, yes. On defense, we only got one. I gotta put Rashawn Gary too. He had 16 pressures. 16. What?
Yeah, definitely put him in there then.
Yeah, he didn't have a sack, which is weird, but he had 16 pressures.
Yeah, I noticed him in the backfield a lot. He
was.
So that part was good. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. I mean, it doesn't really always show up in the stats, does it? People are just looking for the almighty sack.
Yeah. So Corey Ballantyne.
But the key is to put pressure on the quarterback, isn't it? Right?
Yeah. So let's do a quick synopsis. Like John.
That one I can take, John.
Oh, sure. Right. Okay. If you wanted to rest your voice a little bit more. Okay, go ahead.
Well, we'll have you take the next one.
Yeah, no problem. I just want to see you rest your voice.
So like John and I said in episode 55, the Packers will win if they win the turnover battle.
Mm-hmm.
They did just that. If not for a botched catch by Samori Toure on a punt, the Packers would have had 0 turnovers in the game. By the way, the only reason Toure was out there was because Jaden Reed got hurt and was out of the game at that point. We said that the Packers offense needed to be able to run the ball with Aaron Jones and protect Jordan Love. They did just that. We said that the Packers defense needed to get to the quarterback and stop the prolific pass catchers of the Vikings. They did that. The Packers won the game by limiting stupid penalties, by protecting the football, being efficient on offense, and wreaking havoc on defense. Thank you, Green Bay Packers. We, the fans, loved watching you annihilate the Minnesota Vikqueens. Thank you, Minnesota Vikings, for starting a rookie quarterback who was incapable of getting the ball into the hands of Justin Jefferson.
Slap in the face.
Thank you, Minnesota. So, John,
all right.
So, John, unless you have some comments on that whole synopsis, that basically said it all. Pretty much what we said in the previous episode 55, happened. All the things that basically to a T. So I guess we can pat ourselves.
Listen to us.
Yeah, listen to us, right? So listen to this then, right? So you could talk about the next game then. Yeah, the floor, listen to us. Joe Barry, listen to us.
Joe Barry. Killing me. Killing me, Whitey. They're killing me. All right. So let's get right into this because this is huge. Another huge game to end our season, which I don't know. Conspiracy minds, let's gather together. Interesting. That's very interesting.
Win or go home.
So Packers versus the Bears. The Bears. Sunday, January 7th, 2024. Funny, they were thinking on flexing this game to Sunday night, and then somebody was like, no, we have a better game, Miami against Buffalo. I'm like, that's a better game.
That's a better game.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, 3:25 on CBS, Lambeau Field. Green Bay is favored. Son of a biscuit. Over under 44. Okay, so hey, Packer Blitz fans, Packer fans, I want to tell you something right now. The Bears are no joke. They're exactly like Detroit last year when they came in. So be a little scared. It's okay, but we'll work through this. Andy and I are going to hold your hand. We're going to talk you through this, okay? Here's some things that we have to mention. First of all, the Bears are ranked 17th in the NFL Power Rankings by Yahoo Sports. Yes, and they have a losing record.
Yes.
By the way, the Packers are ranked 16th. That's bullshit, but whatever. Their offense is number 2. Believe it or not, with 145.3 rushing yards per game. Yeah, that has a lot to do with Justin Fields. They are number 2 in time of possession. This is offense, by the way, again. Defensively, they are number 1 in run D, only allowing 80.7 yards per game. So that's definitely going to be a point we got to go after. The defense is number 1 in interceptions, 22 interceptions versus, oh my God, 7 for the Packers. Defense is 30 in sacks. We are 29th in sacks. Is that correct?
No, we have, I was just saying we have 29 sacks on the year. They
right.
Yeah, they have 29 sacks on the year.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought we had 20.
No, we have I believe 40 off the top of my head, but I will double check that. Yeah, they have 29 sacks, only 29 sacks on the year. They're 30th in sacks. I will double check that for everybody if you want to be somewhat accurate.
So this defense since November 27th win 12-10, which is, by the way, that's a horrible game. I feel sorry for you fans if you watched it. Over the Vikqueens in Minneapolis, the Bears D has given up 13, 20, 16, and 17 points in the last 4 weeks. But mind you, the teams they have played, okay, they played Atlanta, which we should have boat raced. Now we get started on the Atlanta game. Anyway, the Bears are 4-1 in their last 5 games. And actually, both the Bears and Packers are 5-2 in their last 7 games. And they are playing very well. They actually could have beat, who could they have beaten?
They should have beat
Cleveland.
Cleveland. They
They
should have
should have
beat
beat
Detroit.
Cleveland. Yes.
Both
Oh,
away
and
games that they
yeah,
blew
yeah,
right
yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of
yeah.
the game.
Yeah, they
So they
got
could easily be 9-7, John.
easily be 9-7.
Yep.
But then again, we should be 9-7 in my opinion. But
Or
anyway,
yeah.
maybe a little
True.
better. Okay, so here we go. Everybody knows Justin Fields, impactful player. Which, by the way, I just want to say something really. I'm only going to say something nice about the Bears fans once. So listen up, Bear fans. You will never hear this again. The Bears have the number 1 pick next year because Carolina sucks. So they have the number 1 pick next year plus a ton of cap room. And they're thinking on trading Justin Fields for maybe a second or a late first. So they could have, my God, how many picks in the first 2 rounds is crazy. And first, 3-4 rounds is, so we got to be very careful. We gotta really watch these guys.
They're
And
going to
that's the
have their
only
own
nice
pick.
thing I would say.
Yeah, they're going to have their own pick, which will be in the top 10, and they're going to have the number 1 pick as well.
The number 1 pick.
They want to get
really
a
nice
second round pick back for they had traded for defensive end Montez Sweat, who you're about to get to, and they gave up a second rounder for him. So they probably want to get that back. So for Fields, they'll probably want at least a second rounder for him.
Yes. So Justin Fields has not played too bad lately. He in 12 games, he's led the Bears with rushing 630 yards.
Yep.
And has an 85.8 quarterback rating. He is playing for his NFL future. Yes, he is putting stuff on tape, which is scary when you really think about it. But he is prone to fumbling with 10 fumbles on the season because Fields also can take over a game with his legs. Oh boy, the Packers D will have to contain him and stop him from running all over Lambeau, which I have an answer how to do that when we get to that.
Okay.
In week 1, Fields led the Bears with 59 yards on the ground, but you do also remember he fumbled on one of those times. I can't remember who knocked it up.
Yeah, and he also, John, did not have a run over 10 yards.
Yeah, yeah. So wide receiver DJ Moore,
which is good,
having another great season. He's a great receiver. 92 receptions, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's brought in 9 of 13 targets for 150 yards and a TD, and the Bears win 37-17 over the Falcons. I can't even pronounce them. I'm never going to get in it. Piss me off. Anyway, in week 5 against Washington, he went nuclear with 8 receptions, 230 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And by the way, if you're saying, well, wait a minute, isn't Washington's defense worse than ours?
Their secondary is.
Yeah, that's what we have to avoid at all costs. Then they got defensive end Montez Sweat. He has 12 and a half sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 4
passes defense.
Passes defended, thank you. 13 tackles for loss. He came over from Washington in a midseason trade, and he's helped fuel the ascent of the Bears defense. Yes. With the Tez effect.
Yep, that's what they call it. The Tez effect.
Oh my God. From 23rd in the NFL to 12th in total yards allowed.
Yes.
And from 22nd to 11th in takeaways. The 27-year-old has invigorated a unit that showed chemistry, swagger, and competitiveness. I agree. They're looking very, very well, and that should be taken for granted. And again, I can't stress enough, they look exactly like Detroit coming in when they had nothing to lose. And
scary.
What happened? That's scary. So, keys to another Packer win and Packers making the playoffs. Unless you wanted to add anything, Andy, should I get to this one?
Nope. You're doing great, John.
Oh,
keep up the good work.
This is not, again, repeat, not the same Bears team that we defeated in week 1 in Chicago, 38-20. And yeah, if the Packers take them lightly, just like with Detroit, we will lose. Period. So here are the keys. Keep Fields contained on the ground. His longest run in week 1 was 10 yards. If Justin Fields has a stat line with no rushing TDs and no runs over 10 yards, we will win. I agree. Now, how can we combat that? Now you want to say, well, let's get Quay Walker on him. Let's put another. No, this is what I want to do, and they won't do it. Lucas Van Ness has the speed to get out and set the edge and to get after him, because I saw him start on Sunday chasing down a running back for the Vikings, and he was not too far away. And I'm like, damn, that guy's some wheels on him. So with Justin Fields, if you can, get Lucas Van Ness to be like, okay, buddy, you see Justin Fields, he takes a piss, you take a piss. He takes a sandwich, you get a sandwich. Whatever that guy does, you go after him. That is your one thing to do. Now, will that work? Probably not, because Lucas Van Ness tends to go inside a little bit, tends to overcommit. He's a rookie, so everybody calm down. But if you just give him a chance and just say, let's just focus on this, I think he can really, really help.
Okay, John, you got to get him some more reps anyway.
We got to get it. We got to get him in there. We got to get him in.
He looked good in that very first game. He actually tackled Fields a few times behind. Yes,
he caught him from behind.
Yep.
Yeah. So
he played really well.
Week, the Packers don't turn the ball over. Yes, they will be victorious. And like last week, if the Packers O-line protects Jordan Love in the passing game, opposing team O-line doesn't keep its quarterback upright, the Packers will win. So yes, same recipe what we talked about last week to the Vikings with this. Now, the Packers probably won't be able to run well with Aaron Jones, even though he has been smoking hot. As a result, this needs to be a season-defining game for Jordan Love and the Packers passing game. If he is the quarterback, going to be the quarterback of the future, then you have to play like it, Jordan. Don't pull, oh my God. Don't pull an Aaron Rodgers from last year. There was a lot of stuff going in with that. Let's be honest, Packer fans and Packer Blitz fans. He knew that this was it, and I think he played like that. Anyway, that's a whole different episode. Play like you have played for the last 2 months, Jordan, and the Packers will vie for the Lambeau Trophy. That's the goal, isn't it? I think the goal is let's just get in the playoffs and see what happens, okay? The Packers now have won 7 straight games against the NFC North opponents in December. They just need to find a way to win the game when the season's on the line in January. During the last several seasons, even led by a former, my boy, MVP, Aaron Rodgers, they haven't looked so great. Maybe that all changes the better for Sunday afternoon. For the sanity's sake, Packers need to take care of business. Lambeau on Sunday. The sanity of your fan base is at stake. Packer fans do not want to repeat performance like last year when an opposing NFC North team comes into Lambeau with nothing to play for and spoils the Packers playoff hopes. Andy, it's your call, buddy. What's the score?
Well, you don't know this, John, but I got kicked out for like a couple minutes, so I'm not even sure if we're still on. But the recording started up again. We're at 1 minute, so. But yeah, I can give my prediction if you want. I'm not sure what took and what didn't.
Okay.
So, okay, but we'll keep going. Keep going,
buddy. Yep.
So my Packers Blitz prediction. And I don't mean to be a downer with this. Bears 24, Packers 20.
Ooh.
And so there's a big long explanation with this. And once the booing stops, I'm not a homer when it comes to predicting football games. I'm 9-7 on the season. Honestly, it has been a roller coaster ride of a season for the Packers and my prognosticating. And unfortunately, the 2023 season comes to an end for the Packers on Sunday. It'll be close. However, I don't trust the Packers D coached by Joe Barry, and I don't trust that Jordan Love will continue his stellar play and play one of his best games. And even for a non-playoff team, the Bears have been playing really well in recent weeks. Bears head coach Matt Eberflus is coaching for his job.
Yeah.
Since his specialty is on the defensive side of the football, I think that you could see a lot of interceptions by the Bears secondary in this game. That will turn into easy points for the Bears. The linebacking core of the for the Bears is also stellar and will limit Aaron Jones. I predicted a Bears loss at Lambeau to end the season. Actually, I predicted a win. Sorry, I said loss. Before the season even begun. So I predicted them to win at Lambeau, John. And that's what my gut is telling me. Packers, please don't listen to my gut. I really hope it's not going to happen. John, any comments on that? And you want to give your prediction?
No, I'm going to do my procrastination.
Prognostication. You're
There
looking
we
into
go.
your crystal ball.
I think it's the same thing is going to happen in the Vikings Packers. What I said last week.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come down to again a situation, whether it be a terrible call like they did in the Lions Cowboys game, or someone makes a great catch, and I don't know who that's going to be. And I know I'm on the fence. Call me waffle, whatever you want to do. Put some syrup on me. But that's what I think, because this is that kind of game. It's just who can come out and he can just dominate and stay focused and come through there. And remember, folks, this is Jordan Love's first game like this. So let's not go crazy, for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the first time he's ever been win or in. And, that's tough. That's a tough call. So he needs help. And that's the big thing that I get where you're coming from is, will he get the help he needs?
Right.
You don't know. You don't
Yeah, it
know.
would be nice if it came
We'll
from
see.
Aaron Jones.
Yeah, Aaron Jones
especially.
has to have a big game. His receipt, Tucker Kraft, the
Yeah.
defense has to play as good or even better than it did last week. So there you go.
John, you're thinking it's going to be a close game. Do you think the Packers?
Very close.
Do you think they're still going to, pull it out?
I think the Packers can pull it out and should pull it out and win this game.
Okay.
But again, that's what I thought. Detroit was just going to lay down for us and just be like, whatever.
And they did not.
Doesn't matter. They did not. And they just took it to us. And the game was, you were just like, the Packers just looked deflated from the beginning to the end. And I don't know if that's going to be like this because there was so much going on. Will he, won't he, Aaron Rodgers be back next year? Will these guys be back? Will that guy be back? Is LaFleur coaching for his job? Is he going to leave? And now you don't have any of that other than if we don't win this game, there could be a lot of changes in the offseason. So we'll see.
Well, you had last year, Aaron Rodgers, he didn't play his best game. And I think it's going to take a great game from Jordan Love for us to win. He's going to have to play like he has the last several weeks. If he does that, I think we got a good chance. I just have a bad feeling about the game, and I don't mean to be negative about it. But
thanks a lot.
Well,
let's conclude it.
Yeah, and that was something that again, we had talked about even before the season started. So I thought this was kind of a trap game right at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, we're still in the conversation to make the playoffs. So, and again, we win and we're in. So yeah. So move on to our conclusions then, John, right?
You betcha, buddy.
John and I are ecstatic that the Packers are back at 500.
Mm-hmm.
Packers are 8-8 now. They now need to win this week against the 7-9 Bears, and the Pack is back and in the NFC playoffs. Making the playoffs would be a big success and a big in a big transition season. Packers keep the bells ringing in 2024. Then and only then will this be a truly happy new year for the Packers and Packers Nation. So that's all I got, John,
All right, buddy.
tonight.
So, yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
I'm hoping I'm really
We're wrong.
hopeful the Packers are gonna continue their season. So I
Yeah.
really
It-
I just
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. If we get into the playoffs, we're playing with house money. Okay. We would be a problem for a team because let's say we play Dallas or let's say we play Detroit. They're going to be so on edge to win. We're going to be like, we're like that guy who shows up at the party, goes, "Woo, I'm invited to a party." And he doesn't care what happens. He just got invited. He just wants to have a good time and go home and, whatever. And the other guy's like, "Please let this party be the greatest party ever." And you're like, "Whatever." And if you've ever been to a party like that, it's a great feeling where you don't have to worry about anything. You just go there to have a good time. And if you do, you do. So
Yeah.
again,
And I did
right.
have another thing to say before we go. The Packers
Okay.
players need to play their best.
Oh,
They
everybody.
really do. This game especially when it counts. How many times in the last several seasons, even with Aaron Rodgers, have they not played their best when they had to?
Yeah, I don't know. Understand that.
So that's all I'm saying, Packers
Yeah.
fans. This is gonna be a watershed moment where are they
Mm,
gonna be able to, turn the page? Are they gonna be able to right the ship, so to speak? Are they gonna be able to steer a course in the right direction for once
yeah.
instead of, disappointing, to be quite honest, disappointing me, disappointing
Oh,
our
go Packers
our
fan.
fans, disappointing
Yeah,
Packer fans.
yeah,
Packers
yeah,
have fans have done nothing. I'm going to get this wrong, but they have done nothing but support this team this entire year. And with the roller coaster ride that they've been
yeah.
on, and
Mhm.
now the Packers need to show up at Lambeau Field and kick some
Yeah.
butt again.
Yes.
And hopefully they will do that, and I really hope they will. So that's
All right.
all I have to say about
Thank
that.
you. All right. So
Amen.
make sure you hit like and subscribe wherever you listen to Packers Blitz on Spotify or YouTube or Apple. Again, send your Ask Andy questions in. That is packersblitz80 at gmail.com. And that's really about it, buddy. Go, Pack, go.
Happy New Year. Go Pack Go.
All right. Love you, buddy. Have some fun. Bye.